All right, so today we've got this incredible story for you. It's about two towns, right? Born from the exact same mountain, tied to the very same industry, but their futures? Totally different. We're talking boom, bust, and this incredible fight for survival. And honestly, there's some big lessons in here for all of us.
But before we get into all that, just look at this. Seriously, it looks like something from another planet, right? This river of asphalt winding through these wild ochre-colored hills. And no, this is not a movie set on Mars. This is a real place, Tasmania's west coast. And figuring out why it looks like this, well, that's the key to the whole story.
So, what happened here? Well, the answer, as you might have guessed, is buried deep underground. This wild, almost moon-like landscape, it's the direct result of over a century of some pretty intense industrial work. You could call it a scar on the Earth, for sure, but man, it's a scar that has one heck of a story to tell.
What kind of work? Copper mining. We're talking about Mount Lyell on Tasmania's super rugged west coast. For more than 100 years, this place was one of Australia's biggest, most important mining spots. And this landscape? This is what's left behind. Okay, so you can't even begin to understand Mount Lyell without talking about the one thing that controlled it all, the mining company. I mean, this company didn't just shape the land. It shaped lives, it shaped fortunes. It was the reason these towns even existed in the first place. And the scale of this thing was just massive. Think about it. It starts with a couple of prospectors back in 1884, and it balloons into this industrial giant, the Mount Lyell Mining and Railway Company. For generations, this company wasn't just an employer, it was the employer. It wasn't just part of the economy, it was the economy. And listen to this quote from a guy named Ralph Burns, a former resident. He said, "Mount Lyell was the breadwinner. You had to take it or leave it." I mean, that says it all, doesn't it? It was the absolute definition of a company town. The company gave you your job, your house, your whole reason for being there. It was simple. You either worked for the mine or you got out. And that total, complete dependence, that's where the first half of our story really begins. We're going to focus on a town called Gormanston, a place that was built by the company and, in the end, was completely undone by it too. You know, back in its prime, Gormanston was where it was all happening. Just look at this photo from the early 1900s. It was this bustling little community, literally carved into the side of a mountain. And every single thing you see, every shop, every house, it was all there for one reason and one reason only: to serve the mine. And get this, at its peak, 2,000 people lived there. 2,000! I mean, that's not just a mining camp, that's a real town. It had its own courthouse, a school. It even had 8 pubs. Can you imagine? The place was buzzing. But as you can probably guess, it didn't last. The town's fate was sealed by the slow, painful decline. The first hit came way back in 1922, when a big nearby mine was phased out. That's when the company started looking elsewhere. But the real killer? The final nail in the coffin came in the 1970s with massive job cuts. And that's when people just started leaving in droves. So what happened then? Well, that former resident, Ralph Burns, explained it perfectly. Young families had to go where the work was, right? So they just left, and all their houses just sat there, empty. So what did the company do? They started selling them off. And I don't mean the land. They sold the actual houses. People would show up, put a house on the back of a truck, and haul it away. The town was literally taken apart piece by piece. So what's left today? Remember that number, 2,000 people? Well, today, Gormanston's population is 32. Just 32 people. That is just staggering. It's not even a shadow of its former self, it's a ghost. And if you want a picture of that emptiness, this is it. An abandoned basketball court, just decaying. You can almost feel the echoes of the kids who used to play here, can't you? It's such a powerful, kind of heartbreaking symbol of a place that was just forgotten. But hold on. Remember how I said this was a tale of 2 towns? Well, let's pivot, because just down the road, another town, Queenstown, was facing the exact same future. But somehow, it managed to write a completely different ending. So at first, the reason Queenstown survived was pretty straightforward. When the company started shifting away from the old mines near Gormanston back in the 20s, Queenstown became the new center of operations. It basically soaked up all the jobs and people that Gormanston was losing. But that was just a temporary fix, right? That lifeline wasn't going to last forever. As mining kept shrinking, Queenstown was staring down the same barrel as Gormanston. It should have faded away. But it didn't. Instead, somehow, it found a second act. And here's the key difference, the big aha moment. Queenstown reinvented itself. Instead of seeing that scarred, alien landscape as a problem, they saw it as their greatest asset. They leaned into it. They embraced their gritty mining history. They turned it all into a tourist destination. That weird landscape became the reason to visit. It's brilliant, really. So when you put them side by side, it's just crystal clear. Gormanston had only one trick, mining. And when the mining left, the town died. Simple as that. But Queenstown managed to find a plan B. It diversified. And that, right there, made all the difference in the world.
You know, this whole story is so much bigger than just two little towns in Tasmania. It's really a perfect blueprint for what happens to these single industry towns everywhere, all over the world. It's a pattern.
In fact, historian Michael Holmes boils it down to a pretty simple and kind of brutal formula. He calls it the anatomy of a ghost town. Step 1, the resource that built the town starts to run out. Step 2, technology or the economy changes, and the old way of doing things doesn't work anymore. And step 3, the most important one, the town has no plan B, nothing else to fall back on.
And like Holmes says, it really does come down to that old saying, don't put all your eggs in one basket. That's exactly what Gormanston did. All its eggs were in the Mount Lyell Company basket. And when that basket got dropped, well, you saw what happened. And look, this isn't just some dusty old history lesson. It's more relevant today than ever. The threat to towns now isn't always a mine closing. Think about the rise of fly-in, fly-out jobs. You have people making a living somewhere, but they never actually live there, never put down roots. That whole system means a job doesn't automatically build a community anymore. And that leaves us with a really big, important question for right now. The story of Gormanston and Queenstown was about what happens when an industry dies. But what happens when the very idea of a job being tied to one specific town starts to disappear? In this age of remote work and workers who are always on the move, what's the glue that's going to hold our towns together in the future?